Welcome to Destination E-Bike. Today we are reviewing the Troxus Trax Lite. And the light part is pretty important. We are going to start with the bones and the bolts. So this is the specs of the bike, what it involves with, what it comes with, and so on and so forth. Then we're going to talk about riding posture. So how this feels to ride, what you can do to make it comfortable, and what it comes with, or what you could add. And then some snippets of me riding the bike, how I feel riding the bike, so on and so forth, and then the expert opinion. So stick around and I'll see you guys towards the end. Bones and bolts. What's under the hood? This is a pretty cool bike. It's been around for a while. I want to start with the history of Troxus. They've really only been pedaling e-bikes since 2021, so they're pretty new in the game. It's 2025 right now, by the way. The Troxus Trax Lite is really designed to be a low-profile commuter. It's not a heavy bike. It's only 57 pounds with the battery. So in terms of what's out there, it's really not too heavy. It does have some pretty nice components. It's got Tektro hydraulic brakes, which out of all hydraulic brakes is really nice. Star Union is something you want to stay away from. Tektro's kind of in the middle, and Magura is really going to be about the best. It's got a Shimano 8-speed, and then the rear is an Atlas Shimano shifter. That's really kind of all standard stuff we're seeing on a lot of these e-bikes right now. It's a multi-shift, so you can shift 2 gears at a time. Great shifter, really no problems there. It's a 48-volt system, and the battery is a 10 amp hour. Now, this is called the Lite because of the wattage of the motor. It is a 350-watt motor. On the website, they're going to say 500. It is not a 500. The motor will peak at 500 watts. It is not a 500-watt motor. With that being said, it is a, for lack of better words, lackluster bike. If you're looking for something that is going to climb hills very well or kind of tow a lot of weight, this is not it. This is not it. A 350-watt motor is not going to output as much torque. And because it's a 350-watt motor, it's capped at 20 miles an hour. This bike does not have the ability to go to Class 3. And that Class 3, what that is, there's 3 different types of classes. Class 1 is 12 miles an hour. Class 2 is 20 miles an hour with throttle and pedal assist. And Class 3 is 28 miles an hour with the pedal assist, 20 miles an hour throttle. So this bike, because of that 350-watt motor, is limited to 20 miles an hour. Now those classes do change based on what state you're in. So if you're in New York or California, it's a little different. I think New York is going to 15 miles an hour max, and who knows what California is doing. The bike does come with the plastic fenders and a aluminum rear rack here that is bolted, so it only holds 50 pounds. It does, however, have the rear light attached to the back there, as well as, no blinkers. There are no blinkers on this guy. It does come with the spring-loaded front fork suspension, and it does have adjustability, which is nice. This bike is really going to be for someone who's commuting. You know, you're not going to be towing a lot of weight, not a lot of groceries or beach chairs. Someone who's just kind of going from A to B, doesn't need a lot of power, or wants to do a little bit more work themselves, which is not always a bad thing. This bike has both torque and cadence for the pedal assistance, and what that is, torque will assist you based on how hard you pedal. Cadence will assist you whether you pedal or not. And I'll show you here on screen here. There's 5 levels of pedal assistance. Torque is going to assist you based on how hard you're pedaling. So if you're pedaling really slow and in that level 1, it's going to be next to no assistance. If you're standing up on those pedals, giving it your all, you're going to get a lot more assistance. Cadence, on the other hand, is going to assist you to that set speed. So pedal assist 1 is 8 miles an hour. And it doesn't matter if you're pedaling really slow or really fast, you're only going 8 miles an hour. That is the difference between those two. I will say Troxus is a brand known for having a higher torquey pedal assistance. So you kind of get a lot more for what you're getting. It's something, as I always recommend, to test ride before you pull the trigger, just to make sure you love it. But, well, with this being a 350 watt motor, there's not going to be a whole lot of torque. The amp hours of that battery is kind of like your gas tank. More amp hours is a bigger gas tank. And 10 amp hours is not that big of a gas tank. They estimate a rider could get up to 80 miles range. Range reality is a big thing, and 80 miles is not it, man. That is so not true. I'd have to see it for myself. I think realistically you could get 30, 40 miles in a lower pedal assist level with no throttle usage. I do not think you can go 80 miles. I know they do sell an additional battery that can plug into the bike, but as the bike stands today, retailing for $18.99, to purchase another battery to actually get that estimated range kind of sucks. In terms of what else it comes with, it doesn't come with seat post suspension, so it only has that front fork. It's a 27.5 by 2 inch tire. It's pretty standard nowadays. It's not really a skinny tire, but it's not really a fat tire, so it's going to provide you a good amount of support. It'll handle most terrains pretty well. If you're doing loose sand or loose dirt, maybe not the bike. However, it's going to handle most of what you throw at it. This bike does have an app, and I'm going to show that here after this section here. It's really not a whole lot, forewarning. However, it does have an app, and it's pretty interesting. I don't know if I ever saw it in the manual. They do talk about it online. I had to do a little research on my end, and there's no reviews on the app, so you have to scroll down a little bit. I'll show you that here in a moment. And that concludes our bones and bolts. We're going to move on I'm going to show you the app, and then we'll move on to riding posture. All right, so here's the Troxus app once you're connected to the bike. I'm not so sure how to change the color. That's not the right color bike I've got here, but nonetheless, you can see here in the description 350. And the 10 is most likely the 10 amp hours. And then we see our battery life there. I'm clicking there. There's really not much I can do. I can remotely increase our pedal assistance using the plus or minus. Single trip and total trip. The bike in front of me has 33 miles. You can change between torque and cadence, and I'll show you how to do that with the quick select on the bike itself. I can remotely turn on that front light and back off. It has a fault management. I don't really know too much about this here. Information, this just tells you more about the bike. I will say, see that motor in the top left, Gyabo? I've never really worked with that motor too much, and it's kind of a controversial thing because Troxus claims that everything on their bikes they made. However, that's not a Troxus motor, that's a Gyabo motor. And looking up Gyabo, I couldn't find much. I'm going to scroll down. I can't scroll. There's nothing I can do here. Back in the top left, riding routes. I'm assuming we can save our routes. So when we ride, save where we go. That's what that go button here is. Then we've got service. And it just shows a kind of a plethora of manuals here, which I have to say that's kind of nice, having the manuals readily available. Bike shops. Once again, have to go back to that repair request, and then me. It looks like I misspelled my name. Feedback, a hotline, there's settings. Can't say. There's too much to this app. Oh, looks like you can change the sleep time and the limit speed. That's interesting. Well, this bike can't even go above 20 miles an hour, so I don't think that's going to do much. Nice that you can change the sleep time, though, because this bike does turn off pretty quickly. Yeah, that's really just about it. It's pretty lackluster. I warned you. But it is nice to be able to track your rides and then also change that torque and cadence sensor in case you forget. And then it's always nice to have a manual with you just in case you get an error code or need to solve a question on the road. All right, we're going to move into ride posture here, so I'll see you in the next section. Welcome back to ride posture. Now, this is pretty important. Gotta make sure it's comfortable. The seat has a quick release lever. Pulling that will allow you to raise and lower. Typically, when I seat people on bikes, I like to look for tiptoes of the ball of your foot when you're sitting on that seat. So, you can see this is raised quite a bit, and this is the large frame. I'm about 5'9". It's almost a little too high. I'm going to lower that just a bit. So 5'9", I'm on about the ball of my foot, my tiptoes. And the reason being is when you're pedaling, and this is at the highest point, you want this to be roughly 90 degrees or less. You don't want this to be so high to where you're scrunching, but you also don't want it to be too far to where you are at the lowest point, extending. So you can see my knee has not buckled yet. We don't want this. We want something before that. So at this point right here, it's a pretty good place to be. Now the Troxus Trax comes with these ergonomic grips, which are incredibly comfortable. This is a huge plus, especially with the Dutch-style swept-back handlebars, and that's what this is called here. That kind of has me sitting upright. It's pretty comfy. This does have adjustability here, so I can bring this even further back or a little bit further forward, and actually quite a bit further forward. It's got about 90 degrees in play here, so I could bring that kind of really almost like this. There's a lot there, and that is a huge plus. Bikes like this are really designed towards comfort, and you'll see that as I'm riding this here shortly. It does come with not the most comfortable seat. There's quite a few different seats out there. A seat like this, and I'll show it to you. Not the widest base, and the reason for this kind of design is so as you're pedaling, you're not chafing. Your legs aren't going to be rubbing together or against a big old seat. However, the material here, I think it's just a standard core foam, so it doesn't have a lot of play in it. It's probably pretty weather resistant, but it is not very comfortable. That's an easy thing to change, and it uses a rail system, so it's very standard. Any seat you pick up at a bike shop probably will fit on here. And they're probably nice enough to even do for you. So that's how that rides. Another thing I'd like to talk about here is how to remove that battery. Now the bike does come with 2 keys, and these keys are individually serialized. So if you lose them, you're not getting them back. What you have to do is you have to drill out that lock and put a new one in there. So don't lose them. To remove that battery, and I'm going to move the bike around here to show you. You'll insert your battery key here on the right hand side. There's a key slot right there. Oops. And then you're just going to turn this once towards the back of the bike. It's going to drop once. You can see there's a little bit of a gap there. You probably heard it. Then there's a button on the battery itself, or right above it. Push that battery in, and then this is going to drop out. Just like that, your battery has been removed. To reinstall, you're looking for those 6 kind of slots down there. That's the bottom of the battery. So the bottom will be inserted first, and then swivel upwards. I like to kind of call this a belly-fed battery. It's not the most comfortable, and sometimes it can be a pain in the butt. You kind of have to keep this straight. If this is turned to the side, the front fork is going to get in the way, and you can't take the battery out. Sometimes you got to get on one knee just to kind of catch that, and they do have a tendency to drop. It's a little bit of a drawback in my opinion. It's not the end of the world, but it's something to keep in mind. If you can't get on your knees or bend over to this degree and then catch a 9-8 pound battery, you need to keep that in mind. You can charge it while it's off of the bike. A little rubber grommet here, or while it's on the bike also, I should say. So off or on, doesn't matter, all the same. You just kind of plug that in and you're charging. So you don't have to remove it, but if you are planning on loading this up on a rack or into the back of a vehicle, you want to take that battery out just to reduce that weight. With this battery out, probably brings the bike to be around 47 pounds. So it's getting lighter. And then reinstall this guy here. Boom. All right, I'm going to do some more riding. I do want to do a little more commentary while I'm riding, kind of tell you how I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, so on and so forth. I'm going to show you guys how to operate the screen here, so the plus and minus, how to change from torque to cadence and vice versa, and all those fun goodies. So I'll see you here in just a sec. Gear 8, going about 11, 12 miles an hour here. Cruising on this nice, beautiful fall night. It's about 70 degrees. Going for a little ride. It's a 350 watt motor, as you've probably heard me say before. So it's not the strongest. It really does require a little bit more on my end. But I'll tell you, man, the way this bike is designed is very comfortable. It's got the Dutch style handlebars with the ergonomic grips. It has the adjustable stem here, and I adjusted it to where I'm sitting upright, as you can probably see in the video also prior to this. And then the seat, the standard seat really is not that bad. I mean, if I'm going for a longer distance ride, I'd probably want to change it, but for just tooling around Williamsburg or my neighborhood, it's a great little bike, man. On your left. This bike is pretty comfortable. As we're going over these bumps and humps, with the fatter tires and that front fork suspension, it really doesn't beat me up. It's very, very doable. Going over these cracks, there's bumps here. Handles well at speed. We're about 21 miles an hour right now. Here's a hill, we're going to full throttle. At about 18 miles an hour, 17 miles an hour, 16 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. And we're at the top. We've ridden for about 8 minutes and we're at 92%. So we've gone through about 8%. We're going through 1% in a minute. That's not too great. That probably is in part with me throttling up those hills but lower watt motors do tend to be more fuel efficient, but you gotta be pedaling. If you're using that throttle, especially the higher weight load, like in the 200s, you're not gonna get that kind of range. You're not gonna get really any range. Colonial Williamsburg. And it's not busy, which is not easy to say. Williamsburg tends to be a lot crazier than this. Let's see. I'll let this guy go. On flat ground like this bike is really dreamy. I mean, it's seriously butter. It's comfortable, it's easy. Gives you just enough power. I'm in about pedal assist 2, 8th gear still, averaging about 13, 14 miles an hour. Yeah, I'm just comfortably pedaling, just taking it easy. And it really handles well. And I'm using the throttle here to get going, and stopping and starting just makes it easy. It's a dangerous place though. It's called Confusion Corner. It's because nobody knows what they're doing. Let's see. Boom. Just like that, son. Is a lot of people come in and they talk about how bad a throttle is. They say, I don't need a throttle, I don't want to sit on it, I don't want to just ride on the throttle. You don't have to, have a little discipline. But stuff like that, where I gotta get up and go from 0 to 10 miles an hour, like that, it's awesome. Boom, I'm out of that person's way, out of the traffic, you know, across the street. Boom. It's perfect. This isn't going to be great footage, but you can see the only thing, this got a little dirty, right? A little bit of dirt in there. Handlebar got scuffed. Nothing on the seat, nothing on the frame. Nothing on the wheel. The wheel's still true. I mean, folks, I went over the handlebars. You see the footage. And this really held up well. I'm really pleasantly surprised. I mean, it didn't even scratch. Maybe a little bit, but nothing some Sharpie can't fix. A little bit there, but still, great little bike here. Built well, handles well. You know, you saw this didn't come off. Nothing, nothing really broke off. No scratches here. Great bike, man. All right, the expert's opinion. Now, this is a fun bike. Troxus makes some really cool stuff, and I like reviewing their bikes. We're gonna follow that same basis. We're reviewing guideline, comfort, tech, performance, and value. Now, this is a funny review with my little blooper there that I'm gonna include. However, I think that kind of goes to show three things. A, don't be on your phone while you're riding a bike. B, those are pretty strong brakes, and C, that bike held up really well. I'm going to show some pictures of it. It didn't get a scratch on it, and I went over the handlebars. So I'm glad nothing terrible happened to the bike or myself, but it goes to show it's built pretty well. In terms of comfort, 5 out of 5. I love this kind of bike. It's just an easy, relaxing, comfortable bike. I mean, I could sit there and ride that for a long time. Actually, I'm comfortable enough on that bike to ride hands-free, which I don't like doing because it's just a little dangerous. But It's a really comfortable bike with the adjustability in that stem, the ergonomic handlebars, the way you're sitting upright. You don't feel any pressure on your back, your shoulders, your neck. It's just comfortable, you know? Something you can ride for a while. In terms of tech, it's a 2 out of 5. There's not much going on. The app is lackluster at most. It's not something you ever need to use, or you don't really benefit from using it other than tracking your rides. There's 1,000,001 apps to do that though, and a lot of them better than that one. It has both cadence and torque. I can tell you that torque sensor is not like a real torque sensor. It's just a cadence sensor that's doing some different math. But it's still, all in all, a fun bike. Your performance, 4 out of 5. It's a low watt motor, and I climbed a pretty significant grade on that drone footage. It's tough to see, but I was doing 15, 16 miles an hour in pedal assist 2 and 3. Granted, I was working, I was getting a little bit of an exercise there, but it does well. It gets pretty good range. I don't think you can get the estimated range of, I think it was 60 miles or 55. I don't think so. Maybe 35 and 40. 55 miles if it's downhill and you got the wind pushing on your back, but I wouldn't say 55 miles. And then value, 4 out of 5. This is a great bike. You get a 5-year warranty at $16.99, which today's the 27th of October, 2025. So that's a pretty good buy, man. Actually, really can't get too much better than that. And their 5-year warranty is phenomenal. I mean, Troxus stands by that. I have worked on a lot of their bikes. Their warranty is a quick and easy process, and they don't leave you hanging. For $16.99, you're getting some really good stuff. And the bike uses high quality components like the Tektro brakes that threw me over the handlebar, and their aluminum frame, as well as just everything else. Their Zoom front fork suspension. It handles well, it lasts a long time, and it can get beat up. So at $16.99, you're getting a bike that's going to last you a while. So all in all, I think this is a great bike. I totally recommend, though, go test ride it. Test ride this bike at your local dealer. Buy a bike from a bike shop where you're going to get hands-on experience and help, and people are going to help you find that right bike. But thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below. A, do you own this bike? B, are you interested? And C, is there anything I can do in these videos to make them better? So leave that down below, and I'll see you guys next time.